this year's conference. I welcome the chance to talk with my colleagues and offer a little bit of information and also take away information from all of you. Quick introduction to myself. My name is Troy Rogers. I am a police and public safety psychologist in the New Mexico area. Currently work with about 200 different agencies. Been doing this work in one capacity or another for almost 20 years. This particular kind of training that I'm going to speak about is something we have been overwhelmingly asked to do as of lately. Departments are requesting more and more kind of guidance for not only high-level executives, but also kind of middle management and sergeants, lieutenants, in terms of leadership and how to kind of create environments where folks are psychologically resilient, where they're effective in doing their jobs, and where they're able to do these positive things in light of kind of the culture that's kind of taken on a life of its own in the United States in the last couple of years, with kind of attacks on law enforcement, ideas that there's a lot of corruption, those sort of things. And so the class itself is based on leadership. But one of the things that we really are focusing on when we're training our leaders is how to create resilience in their folks, so that when there is scrutiny, when there is negativity, they're able to maintain themselves at a high level. They're able to withstand the negativity, and they're able to move kind of forward in a positive way. So the class structure for us really is about defining what a leader is, discussing how leaders can consistently make good decisions and do the right thing. We talk a lot about core beliefs and how our values should be used to anchor us into a position of positive leadership. And really how positivity can be used as a platform for success, as well as community engagement and kind of positive interactions that give the officers and the department a better standing within the community. And by doing this, it's our hope that we can improve mental health of not only the supervisors we're training, but their troops and the folks that are working for them. So when we talk about leadership, I think it's real important to have a definition that's going to motivate people and a definition that's going to inspire. And so when I talk about leadership, I often I emphasize this idea that the best leaders are those people that we hardly know exist, because they do such a good job in preparation, in giving us the tools we need, in scheduling, in creating structure, that things run smoothly. And as a result, we forget how much work they actually did. Okay. We also want leaders who are protecting the agency. They're protecting their people. They're taking care of the community. So they're not focused on self-defense or self-promotion or self-advancement, but they're focused on this idea of the greater good, this idea of moving forward. Okay. And then we really emphasize with our leadership trainings that success is not final, failure is not fatal, and the courage to continue through adversity is what a true leader can do. Okay. So this is where we tap into resilience. This is where we tap into how do we bounce back from tough situations? How do we overcome difficulties, not only in our agency, but within the world at large. Okay. So when we define leader, we also explain to the folks who are attending our trainings, what is the role of a leader? And we talk about motivation. Okay. We talk about inspiring people. We talk about providing structure. We talk about kind of communication and managing information exchanges. We talk about how to give feedback. And actually, we will spend a lot of time with scenario-based learning and practice giving feedback, both good and bad. Okay. And then we talk about how effective and successful leaders actually are coaches. Okay. They're pushing their people to perform at a level beyond their capabilities in some ways, or beyond their talent level, right? So a good leader is going to get their folks involved at a level which highlights them. Okay. We talk about evaluating performance, giving feedback both positive and negative. Okay. And not just when somebody's making a mistake. We talk about leaders being able to diffuse crises through calmness, through transparency, through direct communication. We talk about being able to field criticism. Some of the best leaders I've ever had the opportunity to work with were folks that would, on a regular basis, say, I'm not real sure. Let me find out. I don't know the answer. Um, this was my mistake. I own it, right? So we're going to train our folks in these classes to do that. We're also going to train them to recognize where is the potential for improvement, okay? Because we've always got to find improvement in order to create hope for something in the future, okay? Trust is a huge component to leadership. If your folks don't trust you, then their ability or willingness to follow you will be compromised. We also talk about vision and seeing the bigger picture and how good leaders understand their role within the structure. Out of this definition, we kind of give some skill building. Okay. How do you build influence with your people? Well, you build influence by asking questions, by gaining trust, right? We talk about group problem solving and how to utilize feedback from your troops because they see things from a different perspective. We talk about good leaders bringing the right people to the table, having a structure for the problem solving effects. Okay. We talk about really taking care of your people because at the end of the day, within a public safety organization, the most valuable commodity or the most valuable aspect of any public safety organization is going to be the people that work there. Okay. And that's because it is a service industry, right? You are serving the community, you're protecting the community. If we're not taking care of the people that take care of the other people, then the entire system falls apart. One of the things I'm routinely talking with chiefs or sheriffs about is creating a culture in which their people are a priority, and therefore the people's ability to make the community a priority is increased. Now, how do we do that? Communication. One of the areas I see most leaders lacking is their ability to be direct, their ability to tell people both positive and negative feedback, their ability just to keep people up to speed. So we're going to emphasize with communication, we create cohesiveness. Okay. Another area that we're going to spend a lot of time with in our leadership trainings is what are our morals? What are our beliefs? What are our values? What's our self-identity? Because at the end of the day, when we're in a storm, right? When we're not really able to see in front of us, when there's public scrutiny, private scrutiny, all those sort of things, what's going to maintain the course, what's going to allow the leader to be successful is falling back on their belief structure and why they did this in the first place, right? Who are they as a person? How do they view themselves? All right. What kind of virtues do they want to be remembered for? Because every decision they make is going to influence perceptions by others regarding all of these things in front of you right now. Okay. So we ask them, what are your core values? Is it loyalty? Is it duty? Is it honor? Is it respect, service? Because if I know what my core values are, and I can simplify it down to 5 or 6 things, okay, then I have a map that should be able to guide me through whatever struggle I come to or whatever crossroad I face. Okay. So we ask our leaders in our classes, what is your identity? What do you value? What do you want to be remembered for? Okay. And then we pull that in and say, how does that affect your resilience? Okay. How does that affect your people's resilience? Well, leaders that are resilient are going to face challenges directly. They're going to get up when they're tired. They're going to inspire others to join them. They're going to create hope. And at the end of the day, they're going to create moral victories. I'm a high school wrestling coach. And one of my assistants is kind of a hard-nosed, hard-charger Marine. And the other day, we were doing something, and he turns to me and goes, Coach, you realize that every life event doesn't have a moral victory. And I laughed at him and I said, if every event doesn't have a moral victory, it's not because the moral victory wasn't there. It's because we weren't good enough leaders to find it. How do we maintain the moral ground, moral high ground? How do we weather public scrutiny? How do we defend against media attacks? How do we avoid bad decisions? Well, in our training, what we talk about really is leaders learn to prevent a slippery slope. Mistakes are going to happen. Where people get in trouble is when they let those mistakes compound. So I have a simple saying, okay? When I train leaders, I have folks identify who they respect, who they look up to. And I have them say, what would this person say about my behavior? So for me, the kids I coach look up to me. If I'm ever going to make a decision, I need to be able to say, how would my kids view me? Okay. How would they see me as a leader? And how do we monitor this? We have patience. Patience in a world of instant gratification. We have stay the course by setting milestones. We remember who we are. We perspective take and think about other people and how these decisions will affect them. Good leaders are going to have introspection. They're going to look inward. They're going to have discipline and conscience. They're going to manage their impulsive kind of behaviors. They're going to have confidence without arrogance. They're going to avoid retribution or retaliation against people who they perceive have wronged them. And like I said before, they're going to take the high ground because the high ground allows them to see better. I have a strong belief in karma, and the patterns that we display come back to either help us or haunt us. So if we want to maintain the high ground, if we want to make good decisions as leaders, we've got to remember that. And we got to focus on the process, not the outcome. Our society is highly dependent on outcome, which often gets us into trouble. So in summary, my last 60 seconds, good leaders do all of these things. Focus on what they control, take care of their people, monitor folks in order to make sure they're doing okay, assess, change course if needed, are positive in public, discipline in private. Okay. They remember why they got into law enforcement in the first place. They learn from their mistakes. They acknowledge their mistakes and they go forward. Remember to manage sarcasm, highlight your positives, and take every event as a new opportunity to be successful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Here's my contact information. Hopefully this was helpful and will provide you with some guidance and leadership training. Thanks in advance.